I don't even really want to be here. I think we should just go full screen on you and have you keep doing that for like the next hour, and I think we'd all be very happy. That was amazing.
Thanks.
What's the track called?
It's called Palma Driver, 1980. 1984. Yeah.
What, were you in junior high in 1984 or elementary school?
No, I think I was 8 years old that time.
8, okay, got it. Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you, but you're still old enough to, which we'll talk about, you're still old enough to have worked in the analog format at one point in your life.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
how it all started.
Indeed. So what is that from? Is that from an upcoming album?
Yeah, that's from, that's originally, the origin of that track was I created a package of jam tracks for this Jam Track Central package, all these jam songs, and this had a great groove, this one jam, and so I thought I will upgrade that song into a full song, and pretty much deleted all the licks that the jam had, and I made it a song. It was kind of like a Kill Your Darlings, a lot of licks that would have been cool to play, but don't really have that space within a song.
So this started as an instructional thing, basically.
Yeah. And then now we've been gathering songs for the next Mr. Fastfinger album, so I've chosen the best ones, and this was one of those inspiring songs. Yeah.
One of those? I think all of your songs are inspiring songs.
Well, you don't hear the crappy ones. I don't need to share everything. I'm the type of guy who believes that as long as you keep, making stuff, some good stuff comes along the way. And the more you do things, the more good stuff comes out. So, you need like everything like practicing. Okay. You have to write songs, and crappy songs come along the way that you can just forget. And sometimes they are good stuff.
But this one was sort of, you wrote it for one purpose and then almost rewrote it for a more creative purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to make sure that
we may have some internet we may have an internet outage here, Mika. Were you doing something with the? Oh, you're back. All right. Welcome to the internet. Just so everybody knows, first of all, we're. It's kind of amazing we can even do this.
Are we still back?
Are you back? Yeah. Hold on. Let me get back to you. It's pretty incredible.
Hear you.
Oh, hold on.
Can you hear me? Yes,
how are we
now I
doing?
can hear.
Yeah, okay, got it, yeah. So just so I talked to Mika about his internet setup. You live in this incredible farmhouse in the middle of, not really the middle of nowhere. You're only about, like an hour outside of Helsinki.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But your only internet is actually mobile internet for your house, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're like basically uplinking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's around here, it's the fastest connection to the world, the mobile internet. The same thing that you would carry on a mobile phone, the same.
Right, so you have, it's like an LTE or some kind of 4G, like cell phone connection, basically.
4G connection, yeah, absolutely.
Got it. That's, it's kind of amazing. It's like people who have DirecTV, if it rains, all of a sudden you can't watch television anymore, or satellite television.
Yeah.
So if we have some outages, we'll just hang out a minute and you'll reboot the box and come back. frankly, the fact that we're even able to do this still kind of blows my mind. You're calling me over the inner tubes from halfway around the world, or at least a quarter of the way around the world, and then we're beaming it back out to the rest of the world, at least as far as, I mean, you know, as far as I know. And the sound quality I'm getting here is incredible, frankly.
And I think, and I don't think we have a lot of latency. If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, can you join me? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's quite good. Now, here, interestingly, for those the nerds out there, the way this works is that Mika is coming to me peer to peer. So his machine is coming direct to my machine. That's why the latency is so low. Between us and the internet, there's much more. But even then, YouTube has that down to like 10 or 15 seconds or something. It's, you know, they used to have like a high speed mode where you would check it and you would get less buffer, but the latency between you and the broadcast would be low. Now I think that's just the default. So we might have like 15-second latency going to the internet, which is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
Unreal. It's a far cry from, you know, I feel like we all grew up in this era where we had to struggle to get, you know, to get access to technology. In the case, you know, in our case, musical technology, right? And you were telling me you've been doing this project lately, kind of a throwback to the days of tape.
Yeah. I don't know what made me do it, but I think the curiosity and some sort of, no, I don't know. When you want to create things, you always seek for different ways to spark your inspiration and different methods to write songs and make music, and it's just you want to keep yourself on the move, and I've had a passion or crush for C cassettes, for these tapes for a while, and in late April I got the idea that I need to get a 4-track tape recorder, the type of thing that I used to record. We all used to record in the 90s. A cassette recorder, and just to experiment, just test it out how it really sounds. I mean, back in the day, we had a crappy drum machine, and I had this Boss SA50 multiprocessor, which I used for everything, for my guitar tone to effects. I had this and my guitar and a drum machine and 4-tracker. And I would create those songs, and of course it sounds kind of crappy, but now I want to see what you can really get out of that format. So I bought a 4-tracker.
So you had to rebuy one of these?
Yeah. Go to internet, and I found somebody in Finland who was selling a nice 4-tracker which plays in and records in double speed, so it's kind of the cassette is rolling double speed, so it's a little bit more hi-fi, and and you can record 4 tracks all at once if you want, and stuff. And
I guess, you know, so you're in your case though, it's like a mental exercise or a creative exercise.
Yeah, well, at first I just wanted to have this machine, and then I started buying all these cassettes. I have their shelf with all these C cassettes, and I wasn't sure what I want to do. I thought maybe I'll process some sounds for the new Mr. Fastfinger album, make it sound a little bit more funky or lo-fi at certain places. But it turned out that cassette never really plays the same speed ever. It always keeps, going up and down the speed. So it was really hard to sync, record stuff from hard disk to the cassette and put it back, because in just few bars things would go so out of sync that it's incredible.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of out of sync, the ironies never cease. I'll let you reboot here, but the cool factor of tape though is tape was always cool, right? I don't know if you can hear this. Well, I'll repeat it when you come back. But like tape compression is still a thing, right? We have endless. I mean, now you can go and buy simulations of a Studer A800 for your digital rig and get tape compression, and everyone fusses over this. But I don't know if you could hear any what I was saying there. but about like, you know, tape compression was always cool, right? And whether you got that from a cassette or from like a Studer A800, it was always, you know, that was always a cool sound. Brendan, what's
his levels are still a lot lower than yours.
Mika's levels are still a little bit low.
He can move his mic closer.
Low.
Okay, so can we? It's just vocal level, right?
Just the vocal level.
The track was fine.
Okay.
The track was fine.
Okay, so yeah, it's just.
Is it any better now? Any better now?
I don't think the internet will have to tell us that. Actually, I'm listening to you in an earpiece, and it all kind of sounds fine to me. So, where is your mic? Are you wearing a clip-on somewhere?
It's over here. No.
Oh, that might be why. Yeah, if you want to move it a little bit closer, that could be good.
Hello.
Yeah, that's better. I'm sure that's better.
Okay.
And then we'll just I'll make sure the gain goes back to normal when we do another track.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, so the cassette thing it's very romantic, but also I feel like one of the advantages is it forces you to commit, right?
Yeah,
like you
exactly.
You have to play.
Yeah. So I started doing all these every day, every morning when I got my first cup of coffee. When I started my working day, I would come here and try to quickly compose and record a track, a song. I use the iPad to create the backing tracks, drums, bass, and all the synth sounds. I'm really quick with that core gadget, this app, and I can really quickly sketch out things. So I would sketch a backing track, then I would record it on a tape, on 2 tracks, on stereo. Then I would have 2 tracks, and then I have 2 tracks to fill in and do fun stuff. And it was at first it was kind of strange because we're really used to staring at the screen when we're working on computers. You see the visual, the waveforms and everything. Suddenly you only have this tape, and like these numbers go 3-digit numbers go up, and that's it. And it was kind of like doing blindfold music thing, and you really need to start imagining the song in your head and using your ears. And also the interface using the tape, it was really felt like really handicapped kind of at the beginning, but it started becoming more natural because I worked on it every day or 4 times a week. And suddenly all these, because I just took the chance of writing a song. It didn't need to be perfect or anything, just a full song, and on kind of like one sit, so I wouldn't continue it on the following day. Just do it once and that's it. And if it's a crappy one, delete it, forget it. If it's a good one, then save it. And good stuff started coming out, and it was really inspiring. Nice way to, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think when you're forced to put an idea down, it triggers something, right? Like it
does.
It's like an analysis paralysis until somebody says go, and you must do a thing. And I think that's kind of like the benefit of having assignments. Like as sort of a similar note, there's this famous writer, William Zinsser. He was like you read his book when you go in like intro writing class in college. And he's sort of famous for this approach where he says you must write a little bit every day. Every morning you get up, you write 500 words, you write 1,000 words, whatever this is. And it's like sort of a similar thing. I would have to guess, being like the science nerd, that forcing you to actually do the thing actually triggers some important part of the creative process, rather than just thinking about what you want to do or trying to plan it all out.
It's true, yeah, because many times even I thought I had a crappy tune coming out, but I just, I was committed to finish the song. And after a break, later in the evening, I would listen back what I'd done. At times I was amazed. Some of my favorite tracks actually, I've released this collection of these songs unofficially today, so they are available. And some of these favorite songs were just like that. I didn't think they were worth anything when I was working on those. In normal cases, maybe I would have just stop working on it and create a new project on Cubase, try to compose something good. But here I kind of had to finish it, so it was kind of great lesson.
You're referring to the upcoming album or Night Overdrive, the cassette project?
I'm talking about the cassette project, the Night Overdrive, which is just do-it-yourself kind of side project that I just kind of because I got the tape recorder and some cassettes, I got excited and kind of got carried away. It sort of, I wasn't supposed to do anything like that. I was just supposed to finish the Fastfinger recordings. And
Well,
I was
I think,
working on, I've been working on it all the time also on the side. So this is kind of like this morning project.
Right. But I mean, what's the main project and what's the side project? It's all,
You never know.
everything, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows what we're talking about here, I think we should just play one or a part of these tunes, and I want everybody to check out the cover art because it's just so awesome. And it's this. Wah! This looks like, like everything on this demo of yours, or it's like an EP, I don't know what you would call it, but everything sounds like it could be part of the soundtrack for Kung Fury. I don't know if you know that movie. I think it was I think a Swedish guy made
really
it.
retro. I'm not sure where the guys came from, but it's really this retro thing, like a past future.
Okay. What one do you want to listen to?
What? Sorry.
What track do you want to play?
Let's listen to the track number 3. It's funny because I'm thinking about, is it aerobic? Aerobic, these ladies doing all these funny things in these colorful outfits, and it's a bad idea to listen to this, but anyway, let's listen to that. It's a funny song, at least. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll put it up and I'm gonna put the cover art on because it just adds to the vibe. We must have the cover art as it plays.
I can't hear you anymore.
I said I'm the world's worst DJ, which is true.
The song just started. God damn it.
Wait, what?
The aerobic lesson just started and you quit it.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. Here we go. We got to. Awesome. Is it weird that I need to look at the image while that's playing just to get into the complete mindset of it, or is there a synesthesia aspect to your creative process also?
Yeah, well, it comes from the old days when you were sitting in your room and watching at the LP cover and staring that. But it's a fact that the visuals should be. I think it's really important part of the whole experience, and sometimes I almost feel like some great covers make me like the albums way much more than I should. Like the albums, like, and it's always been like that. It was, I think, the most difficult thing for this album of this thing was coming up with the cover.
Really?
That was kind of tricky for me. Yeah.
What is going on with this dude?
I went back to hell and many places, and then finally just quickly did this. This was actually this character, the slightly Terminator-ish look, as you might have seen there. Actually, I stole it from a project that I did several years ago. I did an animation for a band called Dream Theater. It's an American progressive band. You might have heard of.
Dream Theater?
And,
are they an indie band?
Yeah, Dream Theater.
Yeah, I think they play at Coachella, that group. I'm sorry, yeah.
Sorry. I don't know all their songs.
You did art for them?
I did some. I've done some cartoons, animations for their tour screening things. All these screens they use on tours, and one time they wanted this funny. They had 2 acts in their show, and between they showed all these funny films, and they wanted, for some, I don't know the reason, they wanted to have this kind of funny cartoon talk show thing where they would have all these celebrities come in and also Dream Theater members as cartoons, and they wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then so I created that, and here I remembered it kind of fit well with this atmosphere. Well, maybe not this song, but some of the songs have a little bit of that Terminator feeling, so kind of felt that character could be right. What I did was I replaced Arnold's head with a cassette that you can almost see in the cover, but the text comes blocking because the character looked so stupid with the cassette there, so I just put the text on top of that cassette so you don't see the cassette.
Okay, I get that now. It's it's like his head got bit off by Jaws, and what's just left is the bottom part of the cassette. These are all appropriate time period references, so I'm going to go with the Jaws, the Jaws thing.
And one thing with the font, the title font. Yeah, it's Back to the Future basically.
Oh yeah,
Back to the Future. I just dressed it a little bit different, but it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it's got that I'm leaning into my motion kind of vibe to it. Like I'm going so fast, I'm leaning backwards. kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I really don't know when the '80s moment is going to end, and I know we're going to move into the '90s at some point, and there's going to be a lot of flannel and energy drinks. But I'm like perfectly fine with this '80s moment for as long as it goes, and may it never really leave us entirely. I think.
Yeah.
So some of the sounds on this obviously are amazing. What are you doing for drums, for example? I feel like if you're going to do that vibe, the drums are going to be a big part of it. I think we may have lost you for a second again. We'll see when you come back. Oh, there you go.
You were asking about the drums?
Yeah, right. I feel like if you're going to do that vibe, so many 80s tunes were really driven by drums, and kind of even the rock stuff. If you listen to like an old Rat album, they had these enormous sampled drums that are way louder than everything else, which in a way is cool because we don't have dynamics anymore in music. We just have loud all the time. So when you had drums that were really loud and then the guitars and the vocals were back a bit, like that's like there was actual dynamics amid the fakery. So, what are you using to recreate this?
Well, basically, I'm using the gadget. It's the one app with all the synths and drum machines and everything. So I have certain. There are ready presets that I've found, some good ones that I've started, tweaking along the way. Every time I compose, I tweak the drum sets a little bit to find, that one that speaks to me that morning, and maybe the snare is not good for this drum. And for this track that you just heard, funny thing is, this summer vacation we were cleaning this garage that is right next part of this whole building that I'm having my studio. We had to get rid of some big glass, some big walls of glass, and we went to go smash those in the recycling place. And I had my iPhone that I recorded those smashes, and that song is filled with all these glass smashes. That's why it's called Smash Hit. Smash Hit. That song is that's where the name comes. I had 17 different samples, really good sound. Phone microphone, really good sound that I just uploaded on this gadget sample synth, and I use it as a hi-hat, but also for these crashing sounds, and it's really, there's some places where you would normally hit a cymbal, but you have this really pointy glass
awesome.
smash. Yeah.
Do you remember Art of Noise, that band?
Yeah, I do.
They had like there was very like
early sampling.
Yeah, it was like an organic inorganicness about it all. At the time it seemed so like stiff and artificial, but that was its vibe. And now you look back and you realize these recordings have some kind of soul, actually, which is really kind of weird. Like, how does a drum machine have soul? You're back. I actually think you disappearing periodically and coming back only makes me more appreciative that you're actually here.
Sorry.
No, in a good way, all in a good way. So is this is an app or it's a hardware device, this thing?
It's just an app by Korg, and it's for the iPad. Yeah.
Okay.
So
and how do you get how do you render out of this? You just bounce them to Dropbox or something, or?
No, well, now when I'm working with C cassettes, normally I would render multi-track, all the tracks separately, so to Dropbox. Then I would import those to Cubase and carry on working with guitars and stuff. But now when I'm working on C cassettes, I have only 4 tracks or 8 tracks now. I have an 8-track cassette tape recorder also now, but 4 tracks. So I record those to the first 2 tracks, so have a stereo sound. So the mono tracks. So you have to take 2 tracks, and then you have those 2 tracks for the guitar. So I just do a quick mix on the go, and that's it. That's all I got. Later I can't really fix it.
So you're sort of bouncing as you record more tracks.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you?
No. Gadget gives you a stereo output. I mix it on iPad, the backing track. So I have all the bass, drums, and things on stereo, and I just record that stereo thing to tape. Then I carry on with the guitars, and that's the process.
So it's basically 2 tracks of iPad and 2 tracks of guitars for all the tunes?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
basically.
Got it. So see, this is the thing why I think you can actually get great sound out of something like a cassette, because back in the day, everything that we used introduced another generation loss of some kind.
Yeah,
or not generation loss, but yeah, it was, even if it wasn't generation loss, it was like you're using a crappy synthesizer with a very noisy, maybe 8-bit output or something. And that's going into, that's going into some pedal or something, which is going into, by the time you end up with this, it's just a wall of hiss. Whereas if you're coming out of, you're feeding this a pretty high quality signal from an iPad, and then you're going direct from pretty high quality guitar gear, that's going to sound pretty good. I mean, it does sound pretty good.
What I didn't do is, this goes to nerd segment, but I decided not to use DBX, noise reduction. So it's a hissy sound. But the cool thing is, when I got all my tracks recorded, I would send those 4 tracks separately to Cubase, where I would mix it. So there I have a plugin that removes all the hiss like magic. So
like an isotope type of thing.
Well, I can't remember the brand, but just some plugin that removes hiss noise out of the back, and it sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's amazing. So you just learn that you print the broadband noise and then just subtract it out, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so I think, what's cool about audio is I feel like we got to this blend of analog and digital actually for a while now. Because you still have people with big analog studios. You have people like Chris Lord-Alge, who's a known big mix engineer for rock bands, and he's famous for his enormous wall of like 1176 compressors and stuff. And in film, which is what we're kind of in this world now, at least for the things that we do in the studio here, they're still arguing over film versus digital, or they kept arguing about it, long after audio realized that you could all just use them all and be happy.
Yeah, well, the film is way much more, even more difficult and more expensive.
Yeah, there's a lot more data and
analog tape.
Yes. So I think if I'm getting from you, or one of the things that I'm getting from you, is you seem to have a gift for figuring out creative process, let's call it. Like you seem to know what stuff to do to generate cool ideas. And I'm looking, I know we have a bunch of questions that viewers have been asking. They've been kind of popping in here as we've been talking about your creative process. And I think would be cool to maybe take a few of those when you pop back.
Yeah, I'm back.
You're back, okay. So yeah, there are a bunch of questions about your creative process, and I think just like how you generate ideas is a skill. And let's take a look at some of these. We'll hit this one here. You go. Okay. This one is from user Bill Houdini, who asks, how does Mika come up with those melody-oriented concepts? Constructing the chord progression first and getting the melody after that, or the other way around?
Most of the time it's more chords first, melody afterwards. I might, not with this 4-track project, but many times I might go back and forth all the time. So, I have some chords to, spark some melody, and then do my melody and realize that, okay, this needs a little more this and this with the harmony, so I go back fixing the chords a little, but it's more chords first, then harmony. And so rhythm usually way much is the one first, then harmony, then melody. Yeah.
Rhythm first, then the sequence of the harmony, and then melody on top of that, basically. So do you just like walk around the house beatboxing to get these rhythmic ideas, like human drum machines, or are you thinking like what is there a physical component to what you're doing when you come up with ideas?
I do practice that quite a lot, the rhythm thing. I mean, I have my hands that I can tap. I kind of many times if I'm thinking of guitar playing, this is my downstroke, this is my upstroke. So I kind of sometimes these are connected, but I do like if I'm listening to music, or if I'm not listening to music, I like shuffle a little or do some funny rhythmic things, and many times if I'm bored, my head might be doing this because I'm hearing some grooves in my head that would like to come out.
Indeed. Were you a fidgety kid?
My English just got limited. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you always like very nervous as a kid and just constantly tapping on things and playing video games to occupy your hands?
Forks and knives on the table.
Forks and knives, yeah, exactly. It makes I've been the most annoying person in the room for pretty much my whole life. So, hopefully there's some use that can be made of these skills. It's like I remember watching a news show. There was this show about a dog that no one wanted because it was too hyperactive, and then they turned it into a police dog. So it always had something to do, and it was like the best police dog ever. It was one of those feel-good news shows. So, I should just find work as a police dog where all of my nervous energy can be put to use.
Maybe.
But I think it's really fascinating to understand what it is that people do to generate ideas, because it's kind of like the great unknown. Where do they come from? And there is very often a physical thing sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that it's the start of it, but there's one of the ways that we generate ideas can be physical, right?
Yeah, but it's a great mystery when just sit down and open some app or take a guitar and just do something. And I think the biggest problem many people seem to have is how to sort of grab to those ideas that you come up with. All people come up with ideas. It's just everyone just doesn't seem to have the tools to put it all together and make it a package, and kind of take all these elements. I think one of my strengths is it's not really my imagination, but it's more like the skill to be able to connect things and also associate things. When I hear something else comes from the other side, and I hear things after hearing something, and I want to comment with one instrument, and then once that's there, I want to comment with another one, and it's kind of I always had the skills of connecting things together. I think the beginning is the most tricky thing. If you have the blank white paper and no ideas, how do you get things started? And that's the most tricky thing. I can't hear you. No. Kuulokkeet. I still can't hear you. Can we do some? No. And you can still hear me? I'll refresh this thing. Wait a second. Hello? I still can't hear you. Can you play some audio? No. That's what I hear. I hear that. I had a incredible guitar solo, but I can't hear your voice. So that's the problem, is somewhere around your corner, it seems. I started hearing this, and your voice disappeared. I'm hearing F. I'm sorry if you hear listening to this. I have no idea if this is streaming.
Maybe it'll work. Let's see if Brendan. Go check if Brendan's actually getting. If we're back online. Whoa! All right, we're here. This one was our fault, even though we are not 1 hour outside of Helsinki, but rather about 15 minutes outside of New York City. Apparently, the internet doesn't want to work today. Actually, this is my. I think this is my audio interface that died. I have been using Lynx Aurora 16 for a million years. It's been pretty much a workhorse, but it is old. It's like 10 years old, or close to it, and it maybe needs to get sent back for a checkup. Are we? Can we get a thumbs up if we're back online? You're not going to hear. We're in a soundproof room. You're going to have to go out and check. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we're back online. Do you remember what we were talking about? We were talking about creative process. And actually, I had
the order of things.
Yeah.
I think.
And I had, in fact, along those lines, there was a question here that I wanted to address, which is more process-oriented stuff. Mm-hmm. It is here. Oh, there you go. This is from user German Fafian, who says, when you're recording and mixing, how do you know when the song is done? That no matter what you do to the tune, it will not actually get any better.
That's a tough. Yeah, I think when I'm just sick and tired of it, and I don't know what I would be able to do. I'm not sure which thing to touch anymore. You know, if it's, you know, things are in balance and it sounds good. I mean, it's really, when you have all these hundreds of, or at least tens of channels, or just drums, 20 channels of drum mics and things, and you start to balance things, and all these plugins you can sort of tweak to make it sound better. I don't know. The more plugins you use, it seems that the more difficult it gets to get it sound good many times. But I'm used to it. Like my guitar track might have like 4 or 5 different EQs there, like doing all these little things, and it just gets out of hand. But I don't know. This doing this tape thing now kind of just gave me a totally different view how simple things can be. Of course, when you're recording with a band, when you have live drums and bass and all these human elements, things just get a little bit more complex. That's one of the reasons that I really love to do this. I really enjoyed doing this tape thing, this fast production thing, because it's so different from the Mr. Fastfinger album production that we're doing. It's, you know, just importing the tracks and making sure things are right and editing, and it just takes a lot of years.
So is it possible that the simplicity of the format actually provides limitations that force things to be done, whereas if you were on a computer you could just keep layering and going and there's nothing to stop you?
Yeah, it's the limitation is great. I mean, for example, because I had that stereo mix sum of all the backing tracks on 2 tracks, and everything I could do in the Cubase later on was just mainly EQing and touching the dynamics and so on, and that's it. If the bass is too loud, then try to live with that or delete the song.
Delete it. It's true though, yeah, you have to make choices, and you have to commit to those choices. The other thing though, relation to when the song is done, we were talking about earlier, where you said you had written that tune for instructional purposes, but then you went back and sort of rewrote it again because it's like, oh, that idea was too good to just leave it be. I'm going to use it again. Like, what's to stop you from constantly recycling the same idea in a different, continually different formats? How do you know when to stop that process?
I don't know. To me, well, from that package that I created for JTC there was one song that I almost. There were 3 songs that are possibly going to the album, and one of the songs is almost exactly the original. I changed some lead guitar parts, and the original didn't have real bass, so we recorded bass, and obviously I will mix it way much in detail and make it sound better with time. But other than that, it works as a song as it was. But this song it sounded like a jam track with somebody playing. So to me, I mean, if you create an album with just crazy lead guitar, I mean, guitar solos, improvised stuff, I personally don't like listening to that. I like great songs with tight arrangements and structures. It's good to have some guitar solo pieces where you just have simple, very minimalistic backing track and just have a improvisation or a long guitar solo. That's good, but you don't want to have an album of that. Mm-hmm. I don't like to have that.
Right, in terms of that style of songwriting is you're going for a different thing. Now, we ever hear like these old demos that come up on the internet every so often of some famous band, and it's the early version of a song, and you listen to the song and you realize it's the riff from the other song that's in that song, and they must have been moving all the parts around when they were working on the tunes. So like cool. There are all these Van Halen demos where you can hear like the riff from House of Pain or something is really, they used to have it inside a Mean Street or something like that, right? And you could tell they were like trying to figure out where all the parts should go. And that to me is that's like a challenging process, because I have all these little, voice recorder snippets of cool ideas. And I'm always wondering, well, maybe those two should go together. Or how do you know when you've got the final version of a thing? Like, how do you know, personally?
When it sounds natural, basically. When it sounds natural from the start to the ending. And same thing for the whole album. When it sounds like it's good to listen to from the start to the ending. When you listen to it, if there's too much shredding or crazy lead guitar thing, you can listen one track, maybe 2 tracks in a row, but then if there's a 3rd track, then it just becomes a pain and I can't listen to it myself. So there needs to be a change in the pacing, and different type of songs need to, there's a whole sequence of songs. The same thing within a song, getting the right structure where it sounds natural. And also, it's very boring if every song has the same structure where it's the intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, guitar solo, breakdown, and then the final chorus and outro. And it's very boring if it's like that. So I like to. It's a very working format and it works really well. Most of the time it's perfect. But, if everything is like that, it's predictable and very boring for the creator, but also boring for the listener.
But at some point you have to be happy with the creation to where you no longer feel the compulsion to constantly go tinker with it, right? And it sounds like you have a certain zen about that.
I don't know if it's zen or whatever, but whenever it feels like it's in balance, this word is great for, checking if things are in balance.
In balance, okay. Sure.
Balance, blah blah.
Balance.
Balance.
I do not speak French. And then more generally, how do you keep your playing so creative? Any tips? So this is, I think, maybe hinting at more of the guitar aspect of this process. Like coming up with ideas and making sure that you're not getting bored.
Well, number 1 tip is to move always forward with your ears first. So if you let your fingers dictate where the music is going, it's going to follow all the paths of things that you've already learned. All those patterns that you've worked on, it's going to, you're going to repeat all that old stuff you learned maybe from somebody else playing or something you even figured out yourself. Some large part of playing anyway relies on that stuff. But when you create, just try to listen and play according to what you hear. Another thing is, like with this tape cassette project, some of the melodies, when I create the backing tracks, if possible, I try to take some synths to create some melodies already there. So I have some synthesizers playing certain melodies. Maybe I come up with a melody for the verse, but I didn't come up with anything for the chorus. So in the verse, I might just take my guitar and double that synthesizer melody, or maybe there will be, and maybe that synthesizer melody will be something that is not very typical guitar, because when you create something with your ears and with different sounds than your own instrument, you might create something, something new, or at least a little bit more fresh. And
so the variety of the instruments that you actually play on, like you're not always composing these things on guitar.
I tend to compose a lot. The basic tracks usually the song starts without the guitar, or maybe I have the guitar in my lap. I might test out a riff or two, but I might compose entirely on other instruments. And then many of the songs on this new album I just created the backing tracks before. Then I taped it. Then I took my guitar. Let's see what I can do with the guitar. And I think it's kind of like coming to a session as a session guitar player. You meet this song and you try to figure out what could I do here, or maybe there you would have a producer to say and guide you, but here you're on your own, but still kind of you have a certain idea of the song already, and you think about how do I want to approach the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. When you're on keys writing these ideas, do you tend to, or in other words, keyboards, do you tend to prefer certain keys? Just because there's that physical feeling of like actually hands on the keyboard, which is very tactile for me when I do that.
I don't usually write with keys.
You don't usually write with keys? Oh, okay.
No, I'm really... No, I use this... The trick is here, many of these apps, you can set key and scales like this before you even start thinking about the song, and then just you set a Dorian whatever and key of A. Many times I started these songs like I've done so many songs in D, and now I have to come up with some other key, because if I sequence these songs it's very boring if every song is in D. So I might let's today start with B or F sharp, and then right. I set F sharp and think, well, I've done a lot of Dorian songs, so let's try I don't know, Mixolydian, or why not a traditional Aeolian or something more exotic. And I set a scale, and then all these notes when I touch the screen are from that scale.
I see. So this is like almost like an Ableton style of communication, or of composition. It's a very modern kind of thing, or maybe it's a retro kind of thing. Because back in the day when you had a drum machine, there was this static interface, and you light up the buttons when you want the tones to happen, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's what's old is new. Do you do demos of stuff? Do you tend to produce a rough version of a thing before you commit to the final version? Or I know the cassette thing kind of was, the demo was the product, right?
Yeah, exactly. I do, but most of the time when I'm working on a new idea, I try to record the takes. So I get because many times when you play something out of the blue, improvise or half improvise, and it's a very fresh idea, many times there's some magic that might be worth saving. So I try to capture everything as good as possible, so it can be used in the end product. Sometimes when you demo things and you use programmed drums and then record live drums, you realize that the groove has changed so much that I need to record all the guitars to make it match the groove better, but at times there's no problem using the original demo guitars, and
Right.
so yeah.
Right, and technically, I guess the idea of the demo originally was we're going to do this at home when it doesn't cost $1 million, and then we're going to go in the studio with the real players. But now it's like the line is completely blurry. It's more like you can have the process you want to have, right?
Yeah,
which is kind
usually
of amazing.
Usually whatever demo I do, I usually use it as a kind of like I start piling the final tracks on top of that. So anyway, so yeah.
Right, it just becomes a thing that gets built, over time.
Yeah.
Cool. There's a bunch of, or a handful, let's say, of technique questions. I know we didn't really spend a lot of time talking about technique in our first meeting, just in terms of actual playing technique. I mean, there were some. So maybe we can take some technique questions about practice and
maybe
make it maybe. We'll try. Here's one. Do you alternate pick mostly, or do you use economy?
I use both. I think it's mostly alternate picking, but there are certain things that I like to do economy picking, and I also use a lot of hybrid picking to replace the up pick with the finger plugging, because it kind of so all the normal upstrokes you would do, I might just swap that upstroke to a middle finger or ring finger plug, because it gives me more access to the string skipping becomes so easy. It's like milk or water.
Right, and I feel like it's a tonal. In your case, it's definitely a tonal
too.
thing. Like you're getting a pop out of that note that you're not getting.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I know a lot of people do hybrid in a way where you almost can't tell they're doing it. It's just a way of accessing more notes. But I feel like in your case, you're actually getting a whole different vibe out of it.
Yeah, but I do alternate picking, and I like the sound of alternate picking, where you can really get, especially with certain runs, you get the aggressive sound that I feel that I don't really get if I try to do it more economy picking ways. The last note. Yeah. Just the sound. I tend to pick quite aggressively to get the aggressive sound. I think, especially when I'm alternate picking, I like the attack. And but then there are for me, economy picking, I rarely use it like where I would really use it like that. Instead, when I'm thinking about economy picking, I use quite a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's more like almost like arpeggio, kind of stacking triads on top of each other kind of approach. This
Right.
different sound.
So again, it's a sound as much as a technique for you. Also, like the hybrid thing, you're accessing a whole different feel when you go into economy mode.
It's kind of like swapping into tapping to get the certain tapping sound, and economy picking. It's part of the palette and part of the tools to get different sounds and feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And with you, I feel like there was always a creative endpoint in mind, and it's very obvious in a very good way, where it never really feels like you're doing a technique because it's the obligatory Olympics move. Like, now we must do the balance beam,
But it's something that I really had to learn. I remember when I was working on the original Fastfinger album, there was the first song, Go Flash Go. It was kind of flashy, really fast tempo song. And I remember really wanted, there's some flashy licks there, and I really wanted some flashy lick, and I was those days especially, I had no problem with working on one lick for an hour or 2 or 3 to try to record it. And I would sweat here and for hours try to get this lick recorded, and I didn't get it, and maybe I got a recording of that, and then I took a break and came back and decided it sounded like shit, because it was just like outer limits of my skills. And what I did was I just replaced it with something very easy, but something that sounds flashy, and it was perfect. It was maybe some tap, I can't remember, maybe it was tapping or whatever, but it sounded really cool for that part, way much cooler, and it was very easy for me to play. Usually when things are easy for you to play, it usually sounds the best.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think it's one of the gifts that you have, I feel like, also is this ability to know when a thing is working just by intuition, rather than having to, you know, I feel like a lot of great players who have great technique, who learned before the internet, and essentially the time before the internet, you had to have that internal sense of, oh, this is actually working, I'm going to do more of that, and this other thing maybe isn't working, and rather than try and practice that to death, we just go around it, right? We go to the technique that is the path of least resistance, so to speak. And I feel like it takes a certain intuition to know that, because me, I just hammered away on the same thing that I couldn't do. Like, I couldn't do scale playing, so I just tried it a lot, and it never worked, and it just made me depressed and angry. But I didn't know, like, you know, to be aware of even a tiny phrase that you play that is effortless, and then to actually say, oh, well, what if I take that and stack it to create some cool lick? That's a fair amount of self-awareness I did not have.
Yeah. Well, I think back when I was 14, 15, I really tried to play all these techniques which weren't feeling any natural. I just tried to force those. I think the biggest, the biggest guitar years when I was, I don't know, 14, 15, maybe 16, when I just got tired and moved to next interest, basically. But then with Fastfinger coming in 2005, and I started realizing that, oh shit, I need to really get my shit together, and Fastfinger saying that, actually Fastfinger started saying to me that you have to be original, and I really just sat down, tried to figure out all these different techniques and ways to play that would feel most natural to me, and that made a huge change, and just took things that I always kind of liked, like the Marty Friedman. Sorry if it wasn't exactly like that, but that always felt really natural to me. I really loved that as a kid, that part of Symphony of Destruction guitar solo, and so around the time when Fastfinger had come out on Guitar Roadshow, and I remember, just for some reason, I sat down with that idea and started thinking, what do I like about that? Why does it feel so natural? And why is it something that I really like playing? And I realized that it's just simply the way fingers are layered here, and the fact that there's always the pair of one note per string, then there's always...
Uh-oh. Hey. That, I think that may be the internet conspiring against us. We'll give it a second.
You know, on the bright side, we can hear you real good.
Yeah. That was, I don't think that was us. Yeah. But we will send the interface back, because we can't have that keep happening. Yeah. But it has served us well for 10 plus years or so.
Know any jokes?
What? Do I know any jokes? This is the joke. The joke is, if this was NBC at like 10 p.m., this would be a problem. Yeah. I guess we should take the time to thank everybody for tuning in also, despite the technical difficulties. I can go back to wide. Whoa. Obviously we're still working out the kinks for the setup here.
Damn it.
I think we're back.
Yeah.
No,
I have no idea.
How
long have I been out?
How long?
Did I pass?
It's next Tuesday.
Okay.
And this has been a big hit. We're very popular now. In the interim, since you've been sleeping. But you were talking about that minor 7 flat 5 lick, the one where you have the 1 and the 2, the 1 and the 2, right? The fingering.
So quickly rewind, and
Yeah.
So I started figuring out how to take this idea and move it to elsewhere on fretboard, and how to to make something new out of that. I realized that I could do all these kind of minor or major 7 sounding and expanding. And this is a very simple principle. You have, when you're going from low to high, you have downstroke, downstrokes, down, down, and hammer on. And then you continue down, down, hammer. Same thing but backwards when you come back, so you have upstroke and pull and up. Upstroke and pull and up. I really like doing this. It felt like back in the day when I was 15 and loved to meditate over one lick for hours, just metronome clicking and I realized I could repeat.
So when you're doing the directional version of it, the hand is only moving in one direction, and you're just using legato to fill in the...
Hammer on.
Now, when you do the repeating version, that's what, 2 strings, or?
It's still only down picking, down hammer. There's so much time when you do the hammer on to move your hand back, so.
Okay. So you're not doing down, down, up when you do that. You're doing down,
no,
down.
That would
hammer.
sound. This is way much more effortless. I might do sometimes just hammer. If I feel unsure about my right hand, I might do. And the thing here is, I can, I have the rule of, 1, 2, 1, 2 notes per string, but I can expand any time by doing slides or hammer on, extra hammer on. So I can use this to, move to another position.
Awesome. It sounds so great.
Yeah.
Are you doing, like, what kind of setup do you need on the guitar to be able to get that? Do you need a pretty low action to do that? And what sort of left-hand stuff have you worked on to get that?
My action is kind of, it's not super low, so I can't break any, speed records with my guitar. It won't be great for doing bumblebees, but you look.
Yeah.
But it's semi-low, but it's not like a blues high or anything. It's not too high or anything, but it's more like finding, relaxed enough so it's easy and relaxed to do, so you don't have to press much, because otherwise it becomes painful.
Right, and we had a question here actually about working on all hammer type legato technique. Is that a thing you ever worked on, or are you just really thinking about what feels
all hammer
smooth?
Thing. Well, a little bit. I mean, do you want to? Is there something specific about the question, or?
Well, the question's very general. It just says, can you explain the concept of all hammers legato? But I guess I would simply add to that, are you making an attempt to do that, or are you just thinking generally about smoothness when you work on those kinds of lines?
Well, I try, this is kind of shortcut to make sure that I don't get out of sync when I do the sweep picking, this thing at times, but mainly I think it's very hard. do all hammering things, so my legato is more. This finger is not used to hammering that much. It's so
Right. Okay.
yeah.
No, and I'm all those notes speak really clearly, and that's why I'm asking. It sounds great, and I'm not. I don't have a soapbox to stand on as far as all the certain flavors of legato. I like them all. I like the pull-offy kind where the notes go wow a little bit, like what Eddie Van Halen does when he's tapping. I like the super even articulation. Like they're all just different colors to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the thing. The more you got techniques and ways to play, the more you have ways of expressing your, getting the right sound for the moment and for the note, whatever it needs. Yeah,
absolutely. I know we've been going for probably a little over an hour now. We had this like sort of little laundry list of stuff we would do. Like we were going to maybe talk about the pedal board. We could do that. I think that could be cool to just run through a few sounds, and then I really want to do another tune, like the intro tune that you did, before my interface decides to rebel against us again. Just because your playing is so great, and your playing is much better than my talking. So, do you want to take a look at some of the items on the pedal board that you use to get these awesome sounds? You sent me a bunch of pictures here. I think the amp is probably a good place to start. You're using an HK. It's a Hughes and Kettner. I think it's a Deluxe 40. You'll be back. Don't worry, you will. And I'm going to show people a picture.
I passed out.
You did again. I was asking about the amp. I think it's an HK or Hughes and Kettner Deluxe 40.
Yeah, Deluxe 40. Yeah.
Right.
40
and
watts.
I got a picture of it here. I will show everybody what it looks like. Well, where is it? There we go. That's it. How did you end up with this?
I've been working with Hughes and Kettner since Guitar Shred Show came out, basically. I was just chatting with somebody who was working for them, doing some work for them, and got kind of in touch, and they were very friendly, and also the distributor in Finland, really great guys, and it's been such a great great collaboration with these companies, and the fact is that I'm kind of really, especially this amp, I'm really so much at home. I've really found myself and my sound from this amp, and kind of maybe it's the thing that I've always had, whenever I choose gear or do things in life, I tend not to choose the most obvious, the most popular. I should have a Marshall here if I was that guy, or usually for some reason. And this amp, I don't know. This is right now the thing that just delivers exactly what I've been, wanting to have. I just didn't know that, what I need, but it's absolutely fantastic.
So it's a 3-channel. It looks like you've got
Clean,
sort of your three kind of classic gain levels. And what is it like 4 preamp tubes, or what is it? Or 2? No, it's only 2.
It's 4. Yeah.
It's 4. Okay.
Yeah.
And is that a reverb tube there with the
No, there's no reverb.
No. One of them has the cover on it, though. I guess you took the other ones.
Yeah, I don't know about such things anyway.
Okay. Now, unlike Eddie Van Halen,
inside there.
you don't. Yeah, right. Well, it's beautiful, actually. Now, unlike Eddie Van Halen, I assume you are not trying to fool us with these pieces of tape to hide what your true settings really are.
Well, this is my setup from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
With the tape.
Oh, okay. They're not even there.
And they're if they're pretty accurate still. Some little changes come. This is kind of like when I go to a gig, it's very easy to check that everything is as it should be. Sometimes funny things happen and gain is totally wrong or something with EQ.
Yeah.
Same thing. Well, now I should do a little bit more careful thing, but same thing I have in my pedal board. I have taped the similar marks to so I can, if I would only remember, I could quickly go through check that everything is as
Yeah.
they should be. It's
And
kind of
just
like
so people know-
my normal preset, and I can go out of that preset, but whenever I need to come back to my normal stage thing, or I'll just reset everything and that's it.
Right, and just so folks know what you mean by the normal pedal board, here it is. Very cool. I love your artistic
The
touch.
normal
You
pedal
have-
board.
That's a normal, right? This is very normal looking. I love that you have like a color scheme for all of your presets. Everything is lime green on magenta, or magenta on lime green. It's great.
Yeah.
Can you have this clean tone, which really isn't a clean tone, but it's really beautiful. It's kind of like a slightly cleaned up Van Halen or something is kind of what it sounds like to me. Where you roll the knob back and you get clean out of it.
I take the, let's just take all the, this is all the effects out from my pedal board. I still might have something from mixer.
Right.
The thing that I didn't explain in the video that we did 1.5 years ago was that I have a treble bleed in my volume knob here hidden, so it kind of cleans the tone. Kind of gets very thin, and you get really nice sounds because of this. And also it cleans the tone way much better. Normal tone volume would get way much more muddier. So here you get
Right. So if you
Way
turn
much
that
more.
the volume all the way up though on this sound, it's actually kind of dirty if I recall, like a little bit dirty.
yeah with the bridge. So it's like a and if I single coil. But it's great. Sometimes you need to just and
And that's
also
all
have
just the
to-
volume knob that's doing that.
Yeah, and the pickup selections, yeah, basically, yeah, of course,
Right.
yeah, because I never would use humbucker bridge with a clean sound. It's just not my thing.
Right. But it's now on my guitar, at least my amp, because it's like a 5, it's kind of always in high gain mode. If I roll back that much, you're going to get you're going to get noise there into that clean sound. And the clean sound
Yeah.
sounds decent when you roll back the gain channel, but it's still kind of noisy when I do that. Whereas yours sounds super clean when you roll that down. Like I'm not really
But
hearing.
but I'm using the clean channel, which is designed to be a clean channel, and even if I had gain there, it's still a channel that is designed to be a clean, not an overdrive. I can do the same thing on overdrive channel. This is the overdrive. I can get it.
Okay.
It doesn't really
Right.
get that clean.
Okay.
Really need to drop it. This is as clean as it really gets.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if we look at the amp face, you've got your clean channel gain is actually turned up pretty high for the clean channel. So that's where that's coming from, that dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yeah.
I get
It's
it.
pretty
Okay, so
high.
then it's just volume knob, which is awesome that you can even do that. And the guitar sounds amazing. This is a real Hongus. He'll be back. Sorry, real Hongus guitars. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is a real
Real Hongus.
Hongus guitar, right?
Yeah, well pronounced. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. I can't pronounce the breakfast food yet, which we ate when we were there. It's just the
Karjalan
Finnish.
piirakka. Karjalan piirakka?
Yeah, Karjalan pyrka. It's a Karelian pie, right? Yes, I'm
Yeah,
doing that in
yeah.
English.
Yeah.
I highly
Well-
recommend that everyone go out and eat this thing because it's amazing. If you want to start your day like a true Finn, you eat this and what do you put on it?
Kind of mix of butter and eggs.
Butter and
Boiled
yeah, it's like
eggs. Yeah.
almost like an egg salad spread on this barley breakfast. It's like a Northern European hot pocket. It's awesome. Everyone should eat one. What can we do? Can we do the
Oh, sorry.
Can we do
It
the
was
crunch
supposed to be
channel
a
and the lead before I'm afraid my computer dies? What kind of sounds do you get on crunch?
Yeah, it's kind of like this rhythm guitar kind of crunch. What I really request from the overdrive crunch is I want to have the gaps between the notes, so it's really instinctive.
Right.
And this, especially when you put a combined microphone. And so that's the crunch. Mainly, I never use the lead channel except for on certain gigs. I think that it's great for having the lead that really cuts through. But the voicing is a little bit different from the crunch. And first I fell in love with the lead channel sound, but this crunch is just, in general, I just find it just so pleasing that I kind of use it all the time. I just use different pedals to push it harder and
Right.
so I have the compressor and the overdrive to play with it. So I might, the normal crunch. If I press twice this Boss switching system, I get a compressor. It's getting really, depending of course on my compressor settings.
Which compressor are you engaging when you hit that?
The Forest Green compressor from Mad Professor Amplifications. This
Okay.
the second from the top right.
Yep, I see it. We've got it
Yeah.
up. We've got it up.
And so really, that's just
pedal. Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern here. So basically, it's just crunch channel, and when it becomes a lead channel, it's just engaging a compressor to do that.
Yeah, I think in most of the time I use the tube screamer, which gives me more, it's different type of more tighter attack kind of thing, where the compressor, it's actually in the mode where it's sustaining, so I get more sustain kind of thing. It doesn't touch the attack that much, so when I really want attack, I use the Tube Screamer Mini that luckily fit in this tight pedal board, so that's what I'm using. Yeah.
I see you got the green one of the Tube Screamer.
Is there any other?
I don't know. Hold on.
I know that. Yeah, that would have been little too big for this pedal board.
That one.
It's beautiful.
You can have your Model T Ford in any color you want as long as it's black. That's what they used to say. So I guess you can have your compressor and overdrive in any color you want so long as it's green. What's the little green one all the way on the left, the 24.6?
On top?
It's like all the way on. Well, yeah, there's the Charisma. What is that?
No, that's I just shoot here. It's my this is my
Where are you? Oh, there you are. Yeah, in the middle.
It's a magic pedal that comes with guitar
I can't see that
picks.
from
So
here.
it's
It's guitar pick.
yeah,
but it
it's
also
just,
comes with charisma.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So it's kind of like
with charisma, which I could certainly use more of.
yeah.
And then you had the Miku pedal, which is hilarious. And you actually use this, though, right? And for everybody, that's the anime pedal dead center on the screen.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I wrote once I bought that from Japan. I bought it, and so when I got home, I immediately. Sorry, I have a flanger on. They're in the same loop, so. It's kind of sounds like it's getting a little bit distorted because I have so much gain there. But yeah, the only thing that I wanted to have was output level, which it doesn't have. But yeah, it's for special things. We have one song where I use it, and sometimes it's cool in improvised moments where you can do something out of the blue and box and
right.
do some singing.
So your switcher here is you create patches essentially out of all of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I've never used this kind of setup. I mean, obviously it's almost like a roll your own rack unit in a way.
Yeah, it is kind of like you can do really so many things with this, and obviously it switches on different loops. I have all these analog pedals there in different loops, and also the amplifier is one of those loops, and also it has a MIDI function, so it sends MIDI signal to my Boss delay. So when I can create all these presets on ES5 where I can decide that it gives me the certain channel from the amplifier and certain presets from DD500 the delay, and have things set up, and so
Awesome.
oh, Miku is still there. Yes.
Still on.
Still with us.
This is. I feel like we could just keep going with this. They're just. First of all, I could just listen to you play all day, and I want to get back to that. But I'd like to thank you for doing this. Technical difficulties end all. I'm thrilled to have you beaming in from the inner tubes and then beaming us all back out again. And we're happy to have you
absolutely my favorite.
Virtually here anytime you want.
It's pretty cool for me, because I've never done such a thing. I mean, Skyping with students from whatever continents, all over the place, but doing such a thing, well, it's basically like I'm talking just to you, because I haven't, I'm still not sure if this is going anywhere.
That's true. It's all an act of faith. Your setup is killer, though. It sounds amazing. And I think we're getting to a point now where you can just hit a button and have this quality of sound just kind of beaming out because we wanted to do it because it's Tuesday, right? I'm endlessly thrilled to be alive with these possibilities. To be seriously, all irony aside, what do you want to play on the way out?
Before I play on way out, I want to play one special sound for you. This is one of my. Before I play the actual song.
Yeah.
This is the two presets from DD500, which is a delay, but you can do funny things.
That's that guy in the lower right.
Yeah, that was something.
That's awesome.
But it's unfortunately it was the you never know what comes out, and but it kind of gives me sometimes feel like, oh, this is like when you have a synthesizer and all these things and you know how to do do your thing, you get all these amazing, almost like symphonies coming out of your gear as an improvisation, and with all these little pedals getting closer to being able to create all these like sonic sounds that doing things on spot. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're not just effects, right? They're part of the instrument at that point.
Yeah, part of the music. Yeah, absolutely. No,
totally.
Yeah, but the tune that you asked, I thought, I had one song that I could do. I haven't played much live for a long time, so I had to pick up something more, something that I'm more, familiar with. So this would be an old song called Beach Turtles. Actually, okay. I wrote this song in 1996. 7 or 6.
Wow.
But
I didn't know they had songs back then.
Yeah, we had in Finland, but then but this is on Mr. Fastfinger's second album, In Motion, where we actually redid it. I wrote a middle part for it and everything, but it's still based on really old song.
Okay, awesome. Now, before we go, or before we launch into that, can we just tell people where they can get some of this music if they want to hear more of you? Because I love the demo, Midnight Over. Sorry, I'm messing with it. It is Night Overdrive, right? So that's kind of the EP or the demo project, which is the awesome 4-track.
It's not an EP. It's
thing.
a full. It's 40 minutes plus the bonus track.
Okay.
It's over 50 minutes.
It's over 50 minutes. If you order now, you get over 50 minutes of Mika. And then you have a new album coming out also. And where can
These
people
are
find
the
this
tapes.
stuff? They're released on cassettes. If you order directly from Mika, he will send you cassettes of all these things.
Well, the rest of all the Mr. This is kind of like my debut album with my name, but all the Mr. Fastfinger albums are available digitally. They're available everywhere. So whatever is your favorite platform, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere. And there's some CDs left if somebody's into physical things. At least the original first album and the latest EP collection, I still have copies.
Okay, and they're so basically, if someone wants to download, they can get that. If someone wants to stream it on one of their services of choice, they can do that also.
Yeah, Mr. Fastfinger, that's your secret word.
Okay, it is. But if the new project, if the cassette project is under your own name, is that also Mr. Fastfinger on the platforms, or is that Mika Tyyskä on the platforms? The internet. Come on back. We can do it.
I was thinking about it.
No, we're doing it. Okay.
You had a weird, something about
there you are.
platforms. I didn't get.
Yeah. What I was saying is, you mentioned that the cassette project was one of the things you did under your own name. Do we? Would we look up Mika Tyyskä on a streaming platform, or is it also Mr. Fastfinger on those services?
With my name, there's just only one song. It's from that JTC ballad collection where I have one song. So with that name, you won't get much.
Okay.
Just one song. So it's all Mr. Fastfinger so far, and in the future as well, Mr. Fastfinger will be all that has the whole band and the band sound and a more epic sound. I think with my name, I continue doing things my way and not Mr. Fastfinger way. So let's see.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again. Of course, thanks so much for doing this. And I'm gonna hand it over to you now, whenever you are ready. And
okay. Let's hope we don't pass out.
We will. If we do, that's just keep playing, man.
Yeah, that's a quick fade out.
It is.
Can you hear this?
I can.
That's how the riff goes, and this is my attempt. There might be some funny notes. There's some improvised leads here, and never mind the funny voice. It's Mr. Fastfinger speaking to us. You won't see him, but you will hear him giving all these weird improvisation tips in the middle. So never mind. Just listen.
I would expect no less.
Listen and learn from Fastfinger. Not from me.
All right. Not that guy.
I found a beach. It's like at home.
Now.
To really connect with the instrument, you have to become a guitar singer. Now, repeat after me. I think you're ready to play melodic. Understand? From now on, the music is all up to you. Musical imagination.
Humble thank you.